would be.
And just like that, episode 5 of the Cowboys Collective is live. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Foots the King, John Machota, Law Nation, and AOC, the character, the energy of this show. Yeah, here we go. How's everybody doing, fellas? How we doing?
Yeah, well, I'm doing great, man. The 5th episode of the year, second episode of the year, 5th episode altogether, and collectively, we still waiting for Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones' decision on Mike McCarthy. Let's go.
We got a lot to talk about. First, let me ask y'all this. Are y'all good out there? I heard it's snow coming. We just had snow up here. Y'all okay?
No, I'm not okay. My kids is out of school now. They just canceled school already. So
right.
Hold on. AOC, they canceled before the snow came?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how they do down here, man.
Yeah. And not equipped for it in Texas, bro.
So. See,
John, I know
John,
you're not
John
used to that.
and Foots, y'all used to the cold and all of that stuff out there. But of course, since you've been down here, John, do you love the weather or do you miss the weather from?
No, I'd be just happy if I never saw snow again. I get it though. I mean, I remember, just a few years ago, and the first winter I was here was that one in the beginning of 2011, and I covered that media day out at AT&T Stadium for the Super Bowl, and that was the first time I realized, like, they don't have like rock salt on the ground on these freeways. No. And so my car did like a complete 360 on the freeway, but everybody was driving so slow that it was like I had enough time to just go complete 360, get it back, and then just keep going straight like on the highway to get to the stadium. And so I was like, all right, well, it's different down here for sure. So I get why people shut everything down for a couple of days. But the crazy thing, too, is like it's having a major impact on like the tickets for that Cotton Bowl on Friday night. Yeah. Like when Texas won and locked up their spot, man, you couldn't get inside that place for under like $400 or $500. Now now there's tickets that are like $120, $130. Wow. So yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. That is, to say the least. And that Cotton Bowl, it'll be a lot to talk about the players on the field. Can you guys hear us? They're saying they're having audio issues.
Is it too loud?
Are we too loud? Before we go any further, give us a thumbs up if you can hear us. Maybe that might be a few people.
I'm too loud.
Nah, I don't think it's you. I just think maybe it's a slight lag.
I breathe over here. They're gonna be complaining. You're loud, Attack.
Nah, you're not. I don't think that's. Let's see.
Put a 1 in the chat.
All right, sound is good. We got 1. All right, cool. All right, so obviously, everybody take a deep breath. We have a lot A lot to talk about. So we'll kind of stay with the same format that we have been staying with. We'll toss it up to John Machota, who's in the building around the players, the coaches. John, breaking news came out yesterday that the Chicago Bears were denied access to talk to Mike McCarthy. What are you hearing? What's the vibe? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good sign that they're trying to keep Mike McCarthy. If they're not, or, but I'll just put it to you this way. If this was at the end of the 2019 season and the Chicago Bears wanted to talk to Jason Garrett, I don't see any way that the Cowboys would block that. They knew they were moving on from Garrett. They were going to have a new head coach. So for them to block that, I think is very telling. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that negotiations, things like that couldn't fall apart. I mean, I don't know any of this to be true, but I'm just going to throw out some scenarios that could possibly get things to break down. Jerry, after the game on Sunday, wouldn't rule out the possibility of keeping Mike, but having him hire an offensive coordinator. Mike has said this season that looking back on it, if he had to do it over, he wouldn't have done the Kellen Moore as OC to beginning of his coaching time in Dallas.
Okay.
But he also at that time when he was hired said, well, about a lot of things. Well, I said that so because I wanted the job. So if he really wants to continue being the Cowboys head coach, Jerry asks, well, hey, I want you to be the coach, but I want you to be more like a Dan Campbell walk around coach. I want to hire an OC. That could be a deal breaker where Mike's like, all right, well, then I'm just going to go my own way. It doesn't even get to the financial side of it. And so maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe he tells them, hey, I'm going to bring you back. You're the OC, but I only want to do 3 years. Maybe Mike wants 5. There's things that could break apart, but to deny that interview says that obviously Jerry has interest in keeping Mike.
Yeah, and rightfully so. He should. At the end of the day, when the quarterback is healthy, we finish the season 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. So by him having his quarterback out, and we've seen the 2 times the quarterback been out, he's been below 500. So, or not a winning season. Let me ask you this though, John. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. Well, Jerry Jones pretty much said that he would like to have incentives. What would an incentive-based contract look like for a coach, in your opinion, or with your knowledge?
I mean, I would imagine it has to do with something about, getting to the playoffs, and winning playoff games. Like you said, we already know that he can win 12 games. We all already know that he can get them to the playoffs. But the thing that I keep going back on is I find it hard to believe when Mike was hired, if you said he'd only win 1 playoff game, that Jerry would be trying to bring him back, because that was the whole thing that was being sold at the time, is that, Jason couldn't win in the playoffs consistently enough. And so they're going to hire Mike McCarthy because he's had this postseason success in Green Bay and won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. But you didn't have that. And so that's the part even if you rebound from this season that they had this past year, you still don't know. Let's say they win 12 games again. As soon as January hits and the playoffs are about to start, you still don't know anything more about them than you knew 3 years ago. You don't know that they're going to, they were the 2 seed and got destroyed by the 7 seed at home. So
right.
I can see maybe playoff wins, things like that, incentives like that possibly, but I'm not sure because I don't know of many contracts that are designed like that for coaches.
Okay, before I even go, y'all do me a favor in the chat. Leave a like on the stream. We only at 30-something likes. Got 90 people in here. Let's give more likes so we can get more people up in here. I think the Cowboys are absolutely playing a dangerous game of chicken right now with how they're handling this Mike McCarthy situation, because what happens if negotiations go sour? What happens if Jerry wants concessions in Mike McCarthy's deal that Mike McCarthy isn't willing to give up on? What happens if we get close to that deadline, January 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and then Mike McCarthy's like, you know what? I'm going to go look for another job. Mike Vrabel is interviewing with the Patriots. Ben Johnson has 4 interviews before this weekend is even over with. Got Bill Belichick already with North Carolina. You're going to end up putting yourself in a situation, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, where if you don't get this thing done properly in due time and you don't play with Mike McCarthy, do not play around with that contract, man. All this incentive stuff, don't play around with that contract, because honestly, Mike McCarthy has the power here, because the Cowboys could be going from a lame duck season with a head coach to just to being a lame duck organization head coach wise. So that's the last thing you want to happen.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I thought you were going to throw out names attack. when you said that. If they're gonna hey, Doug Peterson, John Gruden,
Doug Peterson,
hey,
John Gruden,
Ron
Rivera, Marvin Lewis, any of the old dudes that smell like mothballs or smell like your grandpa's apartment. No, sir. We don't want none of them boys here. So, yeah, they're going to paint themselves in the corner, bro. We're playing a dangerous game right now. And that's not even to talk about Zimmer. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're still talking about
we're going to get to
McCarthy.
Mike.
Yeah, right. You're still talking about Mike McCarthy. But go ahead, Foots.
No, I really want to get, before I start making my opinion, John, what's the temperature? Like, do you feel, if you had to guess one way or another, do you think that he's coming back? Or is it like, because I'll be honest, we on this show have now went left, right. Now we're back to left. Now we just don't know. Yeah. So I feel like I ask you this every week, John, but like, is it because I'll be honest with you, and for good reason, right, John? Like, I feel like there's been times where Mike has come and he's been at the press conference at the podium, like,
right,
very remissive, very like, man, I've done a lot. He's hugging the coaches after the game, so that tells me he's moving on. Then the Joneses block his opportunity to go interview. That tells me they want him. What is John? I'm putting John Matone on the spot. What do you think, John?
Well, I cover a dysfunctional organization, so that's why you move back and forth on things. Things aren't done. I mean, the thing I keep going back to is the whole all-in thing of the offseason. All-in the offseason was sold like we thought of it as, oh, you're going to do more in free agency. There was none of that. And then it's sold as, no, we're going to be all in on this season. Okay, so you're not giving out new contracts? Well, then you gave out contracts to CD and Dak, so that took away being all in on the season. And then you didn't give Mike McCarthy a new contract. And so now we get to the end of the year, and if you were really all in on that season, as in if you're all in and things don't go the right way, which obviously they didn't, so aren't you making changes? But now you're trying to bring back Mike McCarthy. So the all-in thing, like the statement of the offseason, there's no consistency with that. Then the flip side of it is that the way that Jerry will talk 40 minutes outside of the locker room after that game, and enough to where you think it could go this way or that way. And while that's fun for us to a certain extent, I think it's gotten to the level where like fans are even annoyed with it. They don't think it's cute anymore. They just like they don't think it's cute to wait forever to sign these franchise players that you know that you're going to sign anyway. Man. So they're annoyed by that, and you're going to kind of drag this thing out and kind of so that it stays as a talking point instead of like well-run organizations get this stuff taken care of. That it's like the decisions are made, because the thing for me that why I feel this way is the train didn't come off the tracks in week 17. The train has been off the tracks. Yes. Time to make these decisions on what you're going to do. And so every day that goes by that you don't make this decision, it just shows your dysfunction. So we can sit there and be on both sides, but who is there? When I say that, like everything is in Jerry's hands. There's probably people in the organization. You guys saw that Adam Schefter report about how there's even people in the organization that are kind of torn on this whole thing too, that they don't know which way to go. They don't know if Jerry's going to bring them back or not. Like there's dysfunction throughout the whole entire thing because your owner is your general manager, and your owner likes to play games to keep people interested in people talking. And that's fine for your owner, but your general manager shouldn't be doing that.
Yes, and you spit the truth with that, because even as dysfunctional as the Giants are, right, on Black Monday, they announced that they're going to bring back their head coach. So now you can assemble and do things around that and get properly planned for your draft session, right? So we don't know whether or not what this team is going to be. Will this be a defensive-minded team? Will we have an offensive-minded team? I guess we would just be a Jerry Jones-minded team, and that's a dysfunctional team. So, unfortunately, we find ourselves every year. It's been 30 seasons, 30 years, right, of us going through this, of hoping that this team can get right, and we only have 4 playoff wins to showcase of a level of success. So I do look at it from Jerry Jones' perspective on this. When I said success is equivalent to subjective thoughts or subjective analysis, he may look at this as I'm successful. I'm a 3-time Super Bowl champ, head coach, owner, general manager.
Yeah, you wasn't wrong.
Yeah. I got a gold jacket, a helicopter, a helipad, a yacht. So, and I'm in the Hall of Fame altogether. So, what can John Machota tell me to change my mind? what can Foots tell me? What is this guy Attack on the Cowboys can do to change my mind? So he got a reprobated mind, and it's not going to change.
It's just crazy that he's had all the success he's had as a businessman, and had his obviously most noteworthy product be something that hasn't come close to winning a championship in almost 30 years now.
Right.
And those things haven't changed. That's the part where it really leaves me scratching my head on all of that, because when he was saying all in the offseason, I did believe that it was going to come down to this season, that if it was a disappointing season, that there was going to be major changes, and major change number one would be a new coaching staff. But then also I thought there'd be the possibility that Dak plays that year out. And if you have a season like this, then you go into the offseason going, hey, we might have to look for a new quarterback, and we're going to have to get a new coaching staff. But what it looks like we're getting with all of the decisions, like if I just take you back 365 days ago and I tell you everything that's about to happen, it just looks real conservative. It looks real safe. And I just think it's kind of ironic that all of this is happening when we're, I don't know, a month, 2 months, 3 months away from getting a Netflix documentary that the beginning of it says it's America's Team, The Gambler. When is Jerry? When's the last time? So this is clearly just about the 90s then, because he hasn't been a gambler over the last decade. The head coaches he hires, the moves he makes. Like, I'm not saying he makes bad moves. They have talented players on this roster, and they retain them. There isn't really good players that leave here very much. You can make the argument with Ware and maybe a couple others, but the elite of the elite, he gets those done. But at the same time, it's like there's really no gambling. There's no signing T.O. anymore. No making the trades for Roy Williams or Joey Galloway or Charles Haley and taking risks there. Like, there really aren't risks. There isn't really any gambling going on anymore.
And to play to that, not only is he kind of moving away from that gambler persona, but Jerry's supposed to be known for being like one of the owners that's a good guy, that looks out for his people, that looks out for his players, that looks out for his coaches. How are you looking out for your coach, man? You leaving this dude out to dry right now. He played a whole season on a lame duck contract, and now you're still not prepared to give him an answer about his future at the end of the season? It's just
and then announced that they are doing a soft rebuild while he's in the lame duck season.
Come on, man.
And if you think about it, if you contextualize this, everyone, Sean Payton is getting $18 to $16 million APY. That's 4 times the payout that Mike McCarthy. Their records, their track sheet is just equaling each other. Both got Super Bowl, both Super Bowl head coaches, right? And they both have pretty much, they won 60% of their games. So how can, if you're the agent, John, of or Attack on the Cowboys or Foots?
No, you guys.
How can you say this to Mike McCarthy and say, yeah, I'm only going to accept you to get a contract for $5 to $6 million when you get Sean Payton getting almost doubling or tripling that payout? How can you go to say I'm fighting for you for a bigger payout? You can't say that.
No, but he views it as that he looks at the star and he just thinks that it's so valuable and everyone should want you. I mean, we've heard this negotiating tactics when it comes to the star players about, there's some talk obviously about the no state tax, but a lot of it is about, the brand and being part of the star. And to a certain extent, I do understand. Like, I can tell you this right now myself, I would take a little bit less just because if I'm like, let's say the quarterback or whatever, because I know the endorsements I'm going to make. What endorsements is the coach getting? Like, where is, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to be much different from, let's say, a Denver Broncos or somewhere else like that. And so the other part of it that's fascinating to me about all of that is that there's no salary cap on coaches. Like, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, how come you don't have, like, unquestionably, you have the highest paid head coach, assistant, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special tems guy, training
staff. We're the Dollar Tree Cowboys now, John. We're the Dollar Tree Cowboys, man. Ain't the Dallas Cowboys no more.
Now, Jade Slater, she did report it this week that, she talked to one of the players, and they lamented the fact that they wanted the trainers. They wanted more trainers in the locker room or more trainers collectively. John, I don't know the ratio of all of the trainers in the NFL on other teams, but I'm quite sure if we have the lowest paid coaching staff, by far we could have one of the lowest paid training staff or those recovery guys. Is that something that we have to do a deep dive into?
I mean, it's possible. I don't know how it compares to others because I haven't. It's one of those things where I think if it was really that much worse, I think we'd hear more about it over the years. I mean, I've covered the team for 14 years, and it hasn't really been a major sticking point. But I do know that when that most recent NFLPA ranking came out, like the voting from the players, that the Cowboys training staff did not rank very highly on there. So I don't know if that's just guys butting heads with certain members of the training staff, or it's not enough one way or the other. Again, I guess it just goes back to the whole dysfunction of the franchise. Who knows?
So first, I want to
be real clear. Let me just be real clear about something real quick too. I don't go down that road of that's the reason they had the injuries this year.
Okay.
Because I can't sit there and tell you right now that in the NFL that there's many organizations that are being run better right now for a longevity standpoint than the 49ers and a recency standpoint than the Lions. And honestly, I understand all Cowboys fans think that they got the worst injuries, and you don't. You're right on par with them. You've lost guys and stuff like that, but those teams have lost a lot of guys too. And there's nobody, and even with the Lions one, I mean, they're even a team that, just like the Cowboys, they play on turf, so you really can't even do that comparison like that, So I don't think that that's the reason that they've had the injuries that they have this year.
Good point. Great point there.
Great. A lot to unpack. I like Spicy John, so everybody put a chat emoji, spicy fire. I like this John. I like seeing John fired up.
Yeah, he's fired.
I got high level thoughts, y'all.
Okay.
One of my thoughts is this: either the Joneses, and it's sad because the incompetence, but they knew that they're trying to get a deal done, and they're off on a few numbers. As far as in their mind, they want to bring Mike back, but it's a 2-year deal. It's another 1-year deal.
He's not going to accept that.
Exactly. And they went to Mike with that, and Mike said, absolutely not. But then they also looked at, now this is what I think. They looked at the rest of the NFL, and they said to themselves, this is interesting. There aren't good candidates. What if Ben Johnson doesn't want to come here? What if we can't get the coach we want? And that's why. And they also know you have a Chicago Bears team that would kill for one 12-win season. You have a Chicago Bears team that if Mike McCarthy goes there and turns Caleb around, and he's responsible for that, because I'll tell you right now, I think that the Bears would offer Mike McCarthy and it wouldn't be close. He was in the NFC North. He knows that division. Like Law just gave you the numbers. And I think that the Joneses, somebody in that brass is coming to their senses and saying, damn, we really gave Mike nothing to work with this year, and the quarterback got hurt. And I'm not saying Mike is the best coach. I'm not saying he's the best. Somebody has their hair lazy. Somebody may have to turn their phone or something down. I'm not saying he's the best coach. I'm saying that Jerry woke up and said, if we lose Mike, what's our plan? Because we don't have one. What do you guys say to that?
I hear there's a little bit 2 foots.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
That's what I was saying, bro. That's what I was saying. That's why I said they're playing with fire, and why I feel like they're kind of painting themselves in the corner. And really, they're putting the power in Mike McCarthy's hands, to be quite frank, because the longer this goes, the more leverage to me Mike McCarthy has, because you're going to start losing candidates. You're going to start losing not only head coaching candidates, but defensive coordinator candidates as well, the longer this goes. So you get too close to this, man, Mike McCarthy could get to a point where he's like, hey, you're going to give me this, this, and this, or I'm just leaving, straight up. I'm just leaving. And what do you do? I mean, Diana Rossini reported they've been looking at some candidates behind the scenes. Like, they've been kind of softly checking into some candidates. John, I don't know if you have any info on that at all, but they're putting themselves in a bad spot. Foots, I agree with you, bro.
The problem that you run into here as well is that it's not only just the dollar amount that we hear about, it's that Jerry's been very clear throughout his entire time as owner and general manager that he just doesn't have a high value on coaches. I mean, when he had Jimmy and things were rolling, he said he'd get 500 coaches that could win. And then probably what made things worse is that he went and got Barry Switzer, and then they won even with him. And so it probably really made him think that he could just get anybody. But I still believe to this day, even though it's been almost 30 years since they've been back to those times, I still believe that he doesn't put that high value on coaches, that he thinks that, oh, I can get just an okay coach and it'll be fine. Whereas I think a lot of other organizations, most of which think you have to have like one of the best head coaches, like the person you're hiring, you think is the best head coach you can get. And I don't know that the Cowboys like look at it that way. I think that they look at it as like, we want to get a really good coach, but we want to get a really good coach that plays by our terms, that does things the way that we want to do them. We don't want somebody coming in here kind of being all like, this is their show. This is not your show. This is our show. We own the Cowboys. We run the Cowboys. You're going to do it on our terms. And that's led to not enough success over the last 30 years.
I liken this to Frank Sinatra, my way. I did it my way. I think that Jerry Jones ultimately knows what he needs to do in order to lift up that Lombardi trophy again. But, he rather go and do it his way. And we can all see this team is talented. It's not like this team is lacking of talent. We are talent, but we are top heavy. I think that we need to go and examine some ways to get this team a little bit more explosive to a degree. But if you look at everything and you look at how the Cowboys is built, you can say that this is a talented team. And coaching, the right proper coach is the situation, whereas the Cowboys been lacking and voided at. John, there's been some news out there from Michael Irvin stating that he 100% can confirm and take it with a grain of salt that Mike Vrabel will take this job if granted for him. Do you see that happening with Jerry Jones in a mixture of Mike Vrabel and Jerry?
I wouldn't completely rule it out. I do think Mike Vrabel would have interest if it came to that. But I think that's all secondary to the McCarthy situation. I don't think that the way I feel about Vrabel is the same way I feel kind of about even Ben Johnson and Bill Belichick. Like if he really was enamored that those were going to be the next guy, he could have done that last offseason, because if you think those are the guys that we cannot let this guy go, you wouldn't have let Mike McCarthy coach out that last year. You'd be like, we have to strike now because this coach is available. Like we can't let him slip out of our hands. But they didn't approach it that way, which again goes back to what I said. I don't think they value coaches on the level that we do or most other organizations do. I think that they believe that we can get a good coach and that'll be fine. This is the Cowboys. We'll get a coach that wants to do it the way that we want to do it.
Yeah. So Ian Rappaport just reported about 15 minutes ago that he's hearing that behind the scenes, the Cowboys are working on something with McCarthy, or that's what it's trending towards. I have an issue with.
Man, Rappaport be.
Yeah, I was about to say. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. There's been multiple times where they've literally moonwalked away from reports that they. Yeah, so that's what it sounds like. And I mean, I think anybody with common sense will tell you that if you blocked him from a deal, then you want him to be the head coach. Right. Now the question is, we got through all of that, which is a lot because the Cowboys it's a bunch of minutia, and John said it, dysfunction. Mm-hmm. Guys, how do we feel about Mike McCarthy coming back? Because I got more high-level thoughts, but I want to give everybody a chance to kind of give their thoughts.
Well, I can say this. It's not just his contract is up, right? I think that a whole bunch
all
of
the assistants are up today, right, John? My bad, Law. John,
yeah, you good?
Yeah, they got to go.
The assistants are up today, right?
Clarence Hill put that out.
Yeah, all the assistants, their contracts are up today.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they free.
They can work at will. Yeah.
It's an at will state, So so they don't have to report. So Mike McCarthy, not only if the Cowboys do decide to keep him, he's going to have to stay up even later to go find out who's going to be on his staff. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a thing because we need to be diving deep into this draft. And I heard that even Will McClay's contract is right around the corner of being up. So those are a lot of things that they are dealing with, contracts and these sorts of things, while other teams are dealing with finding ways to get their team better for the 2025 season. You see, that dysfunction stuff, man, that John mentioned earlier, it's everywhere. So, good, great. Hey, get Big Mike signed today if you're going to do it, Jerry. Come on, man.
And y'all trust these fools to find us a new quarterback? Y'all better be glad they brought Dak back is all I can say, bro. Man.
They tried trade.
Speaking of quarterback, John, they extended Will Grier into next season already?
Yeah.
Does that have any bearing on the backup quarterback position? None?
No. Okay. No, I think that they'll still make a run, especially if it's Mike McCarthy remains head coach. I think that I don't think it'll be difficult to get something done with Cooper Rush. And I think Mike would want to keep going with that same exact path.
Okay.
See, I'm going to tell you, I would have a problem with that if they brought Cooper Rush back. And here's why. If you're not trying, and listen, Dak is the guy. Nobody's gonna question that whatsoever. Me and ALC will argue about something else
Hey
later.
man, I'm waiting on it, bro. I'm waiting on it.
We'll argue about something else.
Say something crazy, bro.
At the end of the day, no. At the end of the day, the thing that bothered me about how Trey Lance and Cooper Rush was handled is this.
Right.
When Dak went out, there's not one person who believed that Cooper Rush would get you close to the playoffs. And I know I didn't for a fact.
There's a huge contingency of Rush fans out there now. I think you underestimate how many people.
Hold on. No, let me say this. If you're a Rush fan, please put your hand up in the chat box. I don't know who you are, and I'm going to promise you, I do not know any Cooper Rush fans, number one.
You know any Trey Lance fans?
There's a lot of Trey Lance fans.
It's a lot of
them. Based on anything they've seen, or just the fact of like, well, this guy isn't playing, and this would go against what the Cowboys are doing.
Potential.
And
the ability to
I would
play
love.
with
I
the
mean,
first
hey, I'm
team,
not a quarterback scout or guru. What do you love about him? His
I think
mobility?
I think the athleticism.
What about the quarterbacking?
Exactly,
John. The arm and the processing is very slow. I think the only way that you could probably make it make sense, John, is that he just doesn't get enough reps with the ones, but he just can't trade it. That's what I'm saying.
Man,
like,
you're gonna go get a rookie quarterback, man. Quit playing with Trey Lance, man.
No, you got it. No, I completely agree. You got to move on from him as well. But what you can't do is, I think it would be inept to just say, hey, Cooper, you the backup. Because, bro, if Dak gets hurt again, then that's another season ruined.
Yeah. If that gets hurt again, y'all gonna see even me be like, all right, y'all, I can't really defend this no more. Hey, man, he can't get hurt again, bro. That's rebuild time. He get hurt again.
And so that's where I think that's where I'm at with the AOC. Like, I wouldn't have mind seeing Will Greer. I just want to see, even if you draft a rookie, which you got 4 5th-round picks or 5, whatever, how many amount of 5th-round picks you got, you need to take some type of a quarterback in this draft, or you need to attack the position in the offseason. But as far as like that's a question that I have. Another question, and I want to ask you this, John, and AOC is gonna hate it. What are you hearing around the building about Trevon Diggs? Because I'm getting some really weird vibes from people I'm talking to about him being healthy next year, and about just how he attacks his rehab. And how he attacked it the last one.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard anything from anybody in the building about, let's say, about how he worked back and things like that. And I don't think that anybody would really know for sure, just because of the fact that a lot of those ACL injuries, everybody is on a different time scale. So the other part of this too, that it's tough to say, is that so many of these guys, and Trey's definitely one of them, that do so much work with their own trainers and their own people that aren't inside of the star. And so if, let's say, you're on the staff and you don't see him as much as another guy, I just don't know if it's fair to sit there and say, oh yeah, well, this guy just doesn't want it bad enough, because you don't know how much he's doing with other people. You know what I'm saying? Because there is so much, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there is so many specialized trainers and things like that. I mean, Dak Prescott has, a physical therapist that's
Luke Miller. Shout out Luke Miller.
Yeah, he's at the facility all the time, So a lot of these guys have. And in terms of a timeline with Trayvon, it could be all the way up to the start of the season, because it seems like that's going to be something that takes him a while to come back from. So I don't know anything definitively from the training staff point, but I also know that Trayvon Diggs is paid a lot of money, so I don't think he's going anywhere.
He's definitely not, but this will be a situation that the Cowboys can't leave this draft without drafting the DB, and they can't play around without bringing back this free agency. When I heard that Zaire Alexander is about to get released from the Green Bay Packers, I was like, Jerry, I'm gonna find $5 to $10 that I can send you. Man,
hey, you ain't got to.
Some costs, man.
Micah's gonna give him $5 to $10 million. You ain't got to.
Micah's gonna give him some money.
Micah say you can keep some off the top, man. Go get him some help.
Hey, Attack, this is what I was thinking, man. In the crazy, I guess I can put myself in a delusional box to think that the Cowboys can do that. But they can flip this team around just like this if they fool around and figure out a way to get a Tyreek Hill. fool around and figure out a way to get a Myles Garrett.
Yes, sir.
And fool around and
Yes,
figure out
sir.
a way to get Zaire Alexander. Oh, boy. I would go crazy over here, man.
Nah, real
but
talk,
those like the boom boom room, you know what I'm saying?
All the Kool-Aid. All the
all the
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Drunk,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just think that they're gonna have to be active in free agency. Like, there's no way that the Cowboys can run this back with Mike McCarthy in this same iteration, where you just say we're gonna draft and let's pray. Because
Apathy's
honestly,
gonna be at an
Wait.
all-time
No
high.
way. There's no way like that it will actually happen, or you don't think that there's no way they can allow it to happen.
I don't
Because
think
it is
can happen.
absolutely possible that happens. Absolutely possible. Actually, I will even say it. I'm even on the side of
It's likely.
60-40 as that being more likely that that's what happens.
Man,
You don't see any movement in free agency, John.
Micah's too excited, man. Micah.
Yeah.
Too much. Yeah.
Micah is way too excited for the offseason. And so I just cannot imagine that he's sitting down with Jerry. He's going to the Cotton Bowl. He's sitting down with Jerry. He's making it very, very known that he wants Jerry to be aggressive. He wants Jerry to kind of change how he's doing things. And he's trying to force Jerry's hand a little bit by putting it out there like, hey, I'm trying to talk to Jerry, get my contract done early so we can actually move around.
That was the part for me.
Yeah, Micah's too excited. I just cannot see Jerry not doing anything when he got some of his best players telling him like, "Hey man, we need to do something." Dak out there saying we suck. Like, come on, man.
I'll also say this, like, Micah can say that he's going to take a lot less for other players and stuff like that, but Micah's not the one that's representing himself. And David Mulligetta does not take deals. So he's one of the most successful agents in the NFL. I don't care what Micah tells him. David Mulligetta is not going out there to try and like bargain with Jerry. Hey, so if Mike only takes this, you're going to go sign Osa and then these two guys. There's no such thing as a contract that guarantees any of that stuff.
And that's true.
So if you're David Mulligetta, you have to go in there going, Jerry can't promise me anything. I got to get the most for my client, you know? And that might be where he doesn't need to get 40 and reset the market at the highest paid defensive player, but it ain't going to come in at 30. He's not going to come in and plan some like, you know, some of those deals that you saw Tom Brady at the end of his career where he was, you know, helping out the Patriots like that. And to be honest with you, he really shouldn't. I mean, if you're Micah Parsons, this is your chance to really, I mean, tomorrow's not given. I mean, honestly, I haven't been around a person that I root for more, or I think is more positive than DeMarvion Overshown. Wow. And just like he does everything right, shows up, right attitude, everything like that. And he's just had two devastating knee injuries, are just freak injuries that like, there's nothing about the NFL that tomorrow is promised you. Micah, get what you can get, because I don't think that the organization has shown you enough that makes you guaranteed that they're going to go out and do this other stuff, you know? So that's all. I don't think I understand. Like, it sounds great, especially if you're a Cowboys fan. Like, yeah, he'll take less. They'll get Osa back. They'll get Jordan Lewis back. They'll make a run at another free agent. All that. That makes sense. And that sounds like the 1990s Cowboys, but that isn't the Cowboys we've seen for the last decade plus.
Yeah.
Hold up, pause for a second. You know, my guy, my brother from another mother, no other, don't look like Danny Glover, but keep it cool with us. Stephen Carroll just donated $150 to the Cowboys Collective.
Hey!
So, yay! We're going to split it.
Appreciate it, boy.
Let's go with it. So let's
Appreciate
get
it.
with it.
And we got 300 people up in this fucking. 300 people.
Yeah, oh snap! Yeah! Hey, John, that's what we do. Huh?
I can see. I see that.
That's funny. Hey, I knew AOC would leave it at some point.
Get leaping. So shout out to Stephen. And also, boy, we hit 300 people watching at the same time. Come on. Come on with it, baby.
It's crazy. Hey, we lit up in here.
Share this content, baby.
Hey, make sure you guys hit the share button. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Better. I want to ask you guys a few questions about the defensive side of the ball and its philosophy. Okay. And we got to start with, will Mike Zimmer be back? We can't even answer that because we don't even have a head coach at this point. But do we want Mike Zimmer back? I think we can all kind of say we do, but if you don't, do you speak why? But I want Mike Zimmer back. Does anybody
go
else want
first?
him back? Yes.
Can I go first?
Go ahead.
If Mike Zimmer gonna be walking into the Star every day with Krispy Kreme glaze on his face from messing around, from messing around with his young little fiance, if he gonna be walking around and got, if he got that 6 o'clock a.m. hot donut sign glaze all over his face walking into the Star, then no, sir, I don't want Mike Zimmer back. Because he going to be too busy impersonating Trey Songz and trying to dolphin. I don't want him back, bro. I don't want him back if he going to be distracted, bro.
We got kids watching this show, man.
You don't want weak knees and weak hip, Mike. Boy, you crazies, get out, boy. But I think that Mike found his groove on the back end of this season. And I'm quite sure if we were a booth away from literally, you know what I'm saying, winning a few of these games. If you didn't have a booth, Troy Pride did good that last game, by the way. I kind of liked him coming out of college.
He played good. Yeah, Troy Pride did.
Yeah.
I think, in all seriousness, I don't know how much to put into Mike wanting to be done. I mean, that coaches get tired towards the end of the year.
But why would Micah say that, bro? Like that was weird. That was a weird audio clip.
But let me say this though. Micah says a lot. Let me just be honest with you. I mean, he has his own podcast, so we could spend literally. We could. I mean, Mike.
Let's be fair though, bro. He's been pretty after he got tore for the Mike McCarthy comment though. He's been pretty reasonable with some of the stuff. With most of the stuff he's been saying lately.
100%. I think if Mike Zimmer doesn't want to come back, I would like for Mike Zimmer to. Like, I just feel like Mike will, especially if, like, this to me needs to be the plan. Okay. You tell Mike, we're going to attack your side of the ball in free agency. We're going to go get you. What pieces do you need? Do you need another corner?
Which Mike?
Oh, yeah,
Zimmer.
Zimmer. I'm going to say that too. Yeah.
You tell Mike Zimmer, we're going to attack your side of the ball. I think that could get him back through the doors, I believe. What do you guys think?
The only move we made this offseason was on the defensive side of the ball.
Right, he got Eric Kendricks. Yeah.
We give you another Eric Kendricks.
Who, by the way, had a good year, honestly.
Yeah,
he did. He was a good pickup. It was a good pickup.
I think that, if we do that in free agency, and get the defense in the free agency and then go back into the draft and you draft your explosive guys, your young guys, on the offensive side, I think that could work. But Zim, I don't think that Zim need a whole bunch of guys outside of. Remember when Sam Williams went down, he was saying, man, that's 70 to 75% of what I had planned to do here. So I think that if we can get one or two guys in free agency, I think Zim could say, yeah, I could turn this all around. Because most of the injuries was on defense, but the defense looked better than offense.
I look at how the D-line played, and that's all. They played much better. In my opinion. You got something, John?
My biggest concern is just defensive tackle. And the reason I say that is just because to get the good ones that hit free agency or to trade for one, they're so expensive. So you can, with this team, you can just take that right out. And then, so it's like, is there one that falls to you at 12 that you really love? Because if you don't, I don't know where you're really getting your defensive tackle fix, especially if Osa leaves because he gets offered, a decent contract from somebody else that the Cowboys aren't willing to match, then I'm really concerned at defensive tackle because I just don't know if you can just piece together a full season of, Linval Joseph, Mozzie Smith, and then a couple other, kind of like Linval and Eric Kendricks, like 1-year deal guys and stuff like that. I don't know if that's going to be enough there. But if you were able to find something at defensive tackle, I'm kind of good with the rest of the defense. I think that I still think you need to focus more on running back, adding whoever could be your number 2 wide receiver than I do care about adding another linebacker or corner or something like that. Like those positions are needed, but they're just not higher on the list for me than addressing running back and another wide receiver. Because if you don't do that, I don't know how the offense gets any better. Like,
are you applying that to the draft or the free agency?
For me, I mean, I know this sounds kind of pessimistic. For me, I've turned to the point now with the Cowboys that I'm just talking about the draft because I just have no faith. Like they're all in big swings was to trade for Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks. Like that was a lot for them. So, those days of me getting on the beat and they're making this run after Brandon Carr. Like if those things happen, man, I'll gladly write about it. But those days are gone, man.
That sounds crazy.
And so, can I say this, John? I do think that we will see. Oh, shout out to Mark Holmes in the chat, my guy.
Yeah.
I think that we will see a shift. John, we have to. Here's why. All right. If you're bringing back Mike McCarthy and you just had this season, if you just bring him back and say, we're going to draft, then fire him, move on. That's been my whole point. And AOC, now we can get into what we could box now. I think that Mike and Dak are tied together. Here's why. If you're going to fire Mike McCarthy, you need to start all the way over. That's how I feel. If you're going to move on from Mike McCarthy, you need to flush the whole thing. You have to. Here's why. Listen to me.
All right, Linda,
Listen. No. Check this out. We've seen the best of that, and that was with Mike McCarthy, correct?
No, we ain't seen the best of that damn thing. People said that before the season 4 last, and then he was all pro second team. He can still be all pro first team.
Okay,
we ain't seen the best of a damn thing.
But time out. When he was playing this year, did he play well?
Man, the whole team was ass. Don't do that, bro. Don't
we're talking about. See, this is what if we can't.
Yeah, we about to fight, man.
No. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point.
Foot now.
No. It's not attack. I'm looking at I'm looking at everybody, and then we have to keep in mind, Dak is now injury prone. Whether we want to talk about it, whether we live in Cowboys world, he's injury prone. He's had 2 injuries within the last 5 years that he's missed the whole season. Has he not?
What was one
Snapped
of those
his ankle in half.
Bro, that's not injury prone, bro. That's a freak accident, Foots. How you gonna say somebody injury prone with a big, heavy 250-pound behemoth landed directly smack dab in the middle of his damn high ankle, Foots? You can't say that's injury prone, bro.
But let me ask you this.
Joe Burrow is injury prone.
But hold on,
and we want to talk about injury prone.
But then on a regular pass on a Sunday in Atlanta, what did he do? Tore his hamstring.
Man, you see he just had a second baby. We know he was doing, man.
He sound like
his head, man. Come on, man.
He sound like excuses.
He was thrusting too hard, Foots. Give that man a break, man.
Bro,
give him a break, bro.
The point is
his hammy was tight from the
even the year that Cooper Rush did go on that run, he missed time then. Dak is getting up there in age. He's not old.
He broke his thumb on somebody's helmet, Foots.
So that's 3 injuries, right? Injury prone. Yeah. Even Law's agreeing with me.
We calling freak accidents injury prone now, bro.
It happened.
The hamstring one is the most concerning to me.
I'm about to say the hamstring is the only one I'll give you.
But these are lower extremity injuries, dude.
Lower body extremities, you know.
What are we talking about?
Baby, we drafting Jackson Dart.
And so I'm not saying it. I knew this would get AOC fired up. I'm not saying this to say we're moving on from Dak. What I'm saying this to say is, Law, and
bro, that injury prone label is whack, bro. That man,
it is what it is.
Freak
He's
injury
prone.
It ain't no is what it is, Foots. You can't label that man injury prone.
I'm telling you.
If I'm the owner, if I'm the GM, every year I'm drafting another quarterback. You just got to go into this draft drafting another quarterback. I'm not.
And I agree with that. I do agree with that.
Yeah. I would not bring back Cooper Rush. We've seen that story. He's old. You know, he's 30 to 31 himself, so he's not a spring chicken. And I seen the Trey Lance situation. You know, I looked at other teams like they went and picked up a Joshua Dobbs, and he looked pretty good. So you can find people that could just fill in. But I will go into this draft drafting the quarterback.
Are y'all serious right now, bro? Mm-hmm. So if you walk outside and somebody shoot you in the shoulder, are you injury prone? No, if somebody run over your foot with a scooter and you break your foot, are you injury prone, bro?
But what they're saying is that this car has been nicked up a little bit. You know, got a little. When you check the Carfax.
So is Patrick Mahomes injury prone? He fake an injury every year.
How much time is he? He hasn't missed this amount of games, bro. What we gotta realize is we losing seasons. Like, this was a season lost, and I'm not blaming it on Dak. Right. But again, it goes back to now. Let's go back to the beginning of the conversation. The beginning of the conversation was this, John. As soon as Cooper Rush went in the game, I knew the season was over. That's a problem for the Cowboys. Re-signing Cooper Rush is an idiotic move to me because if Dak gets hurt again, even if it's for 6 games, I don't think you're going to win 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but you're talking about a team that's pretty cheap, so
yeah,
they'll go back after Cooper Rush because they probably can get a decent deal on him, and he'll be willing to want to stay, and so that's why they'll end up doing that. As opposed to, I mean, look at obviously when you're talking about other quarterbacks, backups, and other teams. I mean, look at the way Mariota looked when he came in for Washington. You're just like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
So no, there are guys out there. Don't get me wrong, but you got to just factor in that the Cowboys aren't going to spend money on that position. So yeah, if they were to find somebody, it can't be any earlier than day 3 for me. Those first 2 day picks cannot be spent on quarterback. Not if you just give your quarterback $60 million.
No, I agree with drafting a quarterback. I agree with that part. I just don't agree with trying to put a label on a guy that's injury prone. He's had 2 injuries that's actually part of his body not being prepared properly. That's the calf and the hammy, bro. The other 2 injuries, bro, was freak accidents. Hitting the dude's thumb on a dude's helmet. That's a routine football injury for a quarterback,
they were saying that their
bro.
shoulder too, the meat falling off the bone with the shoulder. You remember that?
That was like the last week or 2 of the season. Did he miss it? We were talking about missing time, right? No. We was talking about missing time, right, Law? Were we talking about missing time?
Here's
how long did he miss with the shoulder, man?
So the only reason why I even brought that up, guys, is because with Mike McCarthy, I want to keep him and Dak together, honestly, because I believe that they first of all like each other. They both respect each other. And I think that the offense, while it wasn't great, that was more or less on the front office. And this is what bothers me about Cowboys fans. Now everybody hates Tyler Guyton, and they probably hated him before they were drafted. Cool. They want to be I told you so guy. Why would you ever think
that's what it is,
smart
I hate that Tyler Guyton stuff, man. That's so whack to me, man.
I think Tyler Guyton is going to be fine.
He's going to be fine, bro.
We did not have YouTube live streams and Twitter when Tyron Smith was drafted. It was just, hey, you go out there, take your lumps. There was no PFF. Yeah, so man. nobody was grading Tyron Smith when he was drafted. So now in this world, you're not allowed to have a bad season or a year where you grow, because that's not good enough for the Cowboys, because the Cowboys free agency is the draft. So guess what? Tyler Smith being so good right away, that was like, oh my God, Tyler Smith do it. Why can't Guyton do it? Because left tackle is the hardest position to play in football outside of quarterback. So he's going to struggle, but he's going to be fine. I say all this to say the offense was bad because you gave him a rookie left tackle, a rookie center, and you gave him CeeDee Lamb and nothing else. Right. Zeke, not good enough. Deuce Vaughn in real games, not good enough. Rico Dowdle, I love him. He doesn't have a run over 30 yards. Not good enough. Boy, you didn't help him. And so I just think that if the mindset, and maybe you know what, John, maybe that is the conversation. Hey, Jerry, if we're gonna do this, I gotta go get me a T. Higgins, so we can draft certain. Like you have to get me something. Maybe not, John, because we know they've been cheap. But maybe Mike is saying, how can I run this back with what you gave me? How?
Oh, Lord.
I mean, he deserves to ask that. I mean, he obviously didn't give Mike enough in the offseason to have a successful season. There's no question about that. But to the point on the fans and being critical of Guyton, I think it's just a lot of things. I think it's because of the success that they've had with so many first-round picks on the offensive line, Travis and Zach, and obviously like Tyron and Tyler. But then it's also the fact that fans look at it as like, well, this is the only way we're going to get the team better. We're not going to do anything in free agency, so these guys have to hit. Yeah. And then the other part of it is just these last 2 draft classes haven't been as good as like a few of them before. They hadn't gotten their Micah Parsons impact player or their CeeDee Lamb impact player. And so a little bit of Guyton is also Luke Schoonmaker and Matthew Smith and these other guys that are high picks that aren't paying. Because when you don't do enough in free agency, that's like the only way that you look at your roster getting better. The other thing I wanted to mention, just because you guys have brought it up a couple of times, and I wanted to include this, is that, one of the offseason storylines, especially if they bring back Mike, will be about, well, then how do you sell hope to fans? Mm-hmm. Jerry was asked that after the game, and he was also asked it last week on 105.3 The Fan, and no hesitation. The number one thing then both times that he talked about was Dak. And it was like, well,
eat it, Foots.
Great, But Dak's got to get even better. And it's not just because of Dak, but it's like if you're not going to give him other stuff around, then you're gonna sell that to fans who've seen him play for 9 years and are gonna be like, well, okay, well, what else are you doing? To expect him to get better, And that's why there's like a little bit of when he was saying that, I'm like, well, maybe he's gonna get him a different offensive coordinator that maybe it's maybe a more modern offense that changes things up, schemes some things for easier throws and things like that, kind of like the Ben Johnson stuff in Detroit.
Right.
But if you're gonna run it back with Mike, I don't know how you would expect fans to believe that, like, no, not only is he going to stay healthy and he's going to play well, he's going to play the best football he's ever played. That might happen.
Right.
But if we're being honest, why should a fan believe that today, though?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm saying. You have every
That's why you
right
gotta draft. That's why you have to draft offense with that 12th pick real quick. I know we got a couple minutes left. I want to hear, now that we know what our pick is, what's y'all picks, man? What's y'all picks?
I put on my top 50. Shameless plug. I also did a mock draft. I'm gonna do a bunch, so they're just exercises. I'm not gonna move that. If Ashton Genty's there, he's still the pick for me, unless Tedero McMillan falls, or this is a big, and I know you won't like this attack, but John is familiar with Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. My God. If there's a way, I know attack, I know, but I gave shameless plug, I know, but attack. Let me ask you this. And don't yell and don't leave. John, I got to put that out there. Don't yell, don't run. Two things. And I love you, brother. I love this show, by the way. We really family. AOC. Can you start? You talk about selling something to fans. Can you watch Andrew Booth go cover Philly on Thursday night to open the season? Can you watch Andrew Booth go cover Devontae Smith? Because I can't do it.
You know what will make it feel better? You know what will make it feel better? Watching that Mecca Ibuka running down that sideline.
But you don't have to watch.
Ashton Genty just
No.
Luther Burton just go. That's what will make it feel better, watching Andrew Booth out there break dancing on the field, man.
You want the score to be 40-40, huh?
40-42 Cowboys. Shit. Forget defense.
No, I would go. No, but in all seriousness, nobody's gonna move me. Nobody's gonna move me off the RB pick. Expect that they're not. I actually went back and I'm gonna shut up. I've actually been watching his 2023 tape. It's even better. 2023. Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I'm still. I don't care if they had 15, 16, 10. Genty's still the one that I would be most in favor of, but I don't know who's available. So when you talk about defense, though, the only way I'd be interested in defense, it has to be a defensive lineman. It would have to be a pass rusher that falls, or a defensive tackle that they just love, which I think would only be Mason Graham. Is that the only one defensive?
Love Mason Graham.
Yeah. Is that the only one though that's like considered Graham. Like a top 10?
Gant from the Michigan team, he's pretty good too.
Kenneth Grant, he's up there. But not if you're talking about in that top 10, it's gonna be Mason.
The one for me is I just would hate to sit there and say 100% I wouldn't go defense, and then you have one of these DNs fall there, and you're just like, man, to be able to pair that guy with Sam Williams and Micah and all this stuff like that, you can talk me into that because I am very pass rush first. Like I think pass rush sets the tone for everything. I can have good corners. I don't need great corners. I need great pass rush though. So if there's an elite pass rusher there, I will be interested, no question.
All right, it's no answer, John. I'll let you make it.
Abdul Carter, something like that.
Abdul Carter, absolutely.
To me, when did Dak Prescott had his greatest season is when he have the ability to have a running back, right? Mm-hmm. He's a play-action quarterback that can read the field really well, and he's one of the most successful quarterbacks off of that, throwing the deeper balls with that. So I would go with Ashton Genty. If he's not there, and if fool around, if Tet is there, Foots,
yeah,
and Ashton is there, I'm going to roll the dice and say, all right, let's go with Tet. And I pray to God, Allah, Yahweh, and Elohim. I'll put them all together and become that one source for that second draft pick to be one of the Ohio State boys or Marion Hampton, and I would still have the same flow. You know, that's how I would look at it. So, Ashton Genty will be my ultimate pick. But if Tet is there, and I don't believe that he will be, I will go with Tet. Go ahead.
Well, I want to just say this, Law. We say we don't think so, but I believe, and people,
Ooh-wee.
all of the media scouts, and John, you do work with some great guys who talk about this draft, and we all read stuff. They're gonna say this is a bad quarterback class, and I believe that. I don't have Shedeur Sanders in my top 50. However, Shedeur Sanders and for sure Cam Ward are going in the top 10. I would not be surprised if one, maybe two more quarterbacks sneak in there. How? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that, and people will laugh at this, Jalen Milroe is going to run a 4.4, 4.3 at the combine. When he does that and scouts start just imagining, hey, you could run this Jalen Hurts type offense with him. You could have two-way goes, and then you could develop him. If he starts getting pushed up and he starts getting talked about, you got Jackson Dart. What if Drew Aller tomorrow has a great game and then what if Drew Aller somehow wins the national championship and he says, you know what, I want to declare? That's how you get to Tet, Law, because there'll be people who say, what if Tet goes out there and runs a 4.5? What if Tet isn't as fast as we think? We got to remember, CeeDee Lamb drafted 17. Mm-hmm. Justin Jefferson drafted 22 or 24 after Jalen Reagor. These crazy. Listen.
What number?
Kyle
was Zach
Hamilton.
What number was Zach Martin?
17.
Okay, so Zach Martin was 17. I think that the biggest Cowboys type of pick would be a Will Campbell or a.
Oh hell no! We can end the show off that.
Yeah, I know. No, end the show off that because we mentioning all of these names of all of this, but it's going to be. I know John got to go, but Kevin Banks will probably be the biggest Cowboys type.
So I got something that can help you. I got something that can help you and help everybody chat box, and then this will help AOC, and then we can go. The Saints and the Bears draft before you. Yeah. The Bears cannot pass on the offensive lineman.
49ers too. 49ers.
And
49ers.
The Niners are another name. So
but
there's
like
only
Starks.
two top guys.
They like Malachi Starks though.
They can love. If they would be inept because their guard play was horrendous.
Yeah.
And the Bears apps, they would not be taken serious as a franchise if they don't draft the lineman. So that's kind of weird. That's my thought. So those two guys, and those are your top two guys, they should, especially Banks. Banks will be a top 10 player, and they'll be a guard at guard for me. Yeah. So this isn't like last year's class. We had all those great offensive linemen. It's not like that. This class is heavy D tackle, running back, and corner. So,
but to a degree, and I know John got to go, but you kick Bank inside, and then you put Tyler on the outside, and you say Tyler, and then the other Tyler, you get him to the right guard, right tackle spot. There could be a situation there, but that's another 2-hour show.
Yeah, man, because I
appreciate y'all, man. Let's get on up.
Yeah, man.
Hey, so I just want to use it. I want to use this time. Thank you so much, guys. Cowboys Collective is growing. 320 people. Can we get clap emojis in the chat box?
I got you on the claps. Well, pause. You know.
Hey, pause for real, bro. Pause for real.
And shout out to Stephen Carroll for the $150, man.
Yeah, Lord, run me my money, bro.
You boy, appreciate you. We're gonna split it. We're gonna split it 4 ways, man. And don't let Stephen be the only one, y'all.
Hey, and when we start to get those supers going, you guys make sure you keep them going. Hey, much love to you.
With a good time. Shoot, come on with it.
Much love to you guys. We'll see you guys next Wednesday on. Well, Law, can you send us out on? And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
All right.